Right, so hello everyone, my name is Kevin Starr and welcome to my new video game podcast show called Hey Nerd. And today with me I have David Stanley making Skelattack with Ukuza Games. David, would you like to talk about yourself?
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on today. So I've got a background in art and animation, strictly 2D, and I set out a couple years ago to start making a game that would become Skelattack. I knew nothing about programming at the time. I just started working on Game Maker, following tutorials and stuff, just to see if I could make something. And, like 3 years later, we are chugging along nicely, and we've expanded the team, and like everybody's really happy about the stuff that we are able to create now. And all because I took a chance on something new, just like you're doing today, Kevin.
Yeah, really. Yeah. For people watching, I may seem a little nervous. This is very new to me, so bear with me if I get quiet or something.
Just it helps if you imagine me in my underwear.
Oh, well, now the show is too sexy.
Not safe for work.
I put the explicit tags on iTunes, so. All right, so what can you tell us about Skelattack? I mean, I know from playing it back at PAX South of last year that it is a sort of dungeon crawling platformer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it kind of takes a setting that we're all very familiar with, like the dungeons, sewers, the dark and smelly, deadly setting, and it kind of switches your perspective. So instead of playing as a human, you're playing as a monster that lives in the dungeon. In this case, it's Scully, the enchanted skeleton, and his best friend, the Bat Emperor, and it's very reminiscent of like Boy and Super Mario Brothers. Just a lot of wall sliding, like memorable, funny, quirky characters. You're going to die a lot to environment-based hazards, just like in Super Meat Boy. And also similar to that game is that the respawn system is like very fast, so that you're never really going to see a game over. Like there are lots of checkpoints sprinkled around, so whenever something goes wrong, you're really not going to lose that much progress, and you can very quickly try it again. That's something that we loved as a development team, and we've seen that gamers really love that too. It really helps psychologically. It really helps keep people like locked into your game.
Yeah,
you never really give them a reason to turn it off. So a little bit of trickery going on, but I think it really like serves the story quite well. As a skeleton can never die.
So can you explain a little bit more on how you achieve like the super fast respawn system, or because I mean like when you look at some game, it's like you die and you got to wait like a minute before everything is up and running again.
Loading screens, and they just put way too much in there. It's like, dude, if I'm gonna die in your game a few hundred times, like, how much time am I wasting staring at like your crazy intricate game over animation and sitting through the cutscene again so I can get back to where I was? So with that in mind, as I was working on Skelattack, I was like, I want it to be as fast as possible, and it's extremely simple to pull off like on this game. Every time you hit a checkpoint, which in this game is a magical blue flame, every time you touch one, the game saves that position, that X and Y coordinate. And when you die, we just play your death animation, we turn Scully invisible, and we teleport you back to that saved X and Y position in front of the torch, and we pan the camera over to it, and then we make Scully visible again, and we play his respawn animation, and he pops out of the ground. So it's just a few simple things on top of each other that made that system work. And I really don't think I would want to
I guess. So, what was it that got you into game design to begin with?
Oh man, I've loved games ever since I was like 5 years old, like most gamers can say. But the thing that really made me interested in the design was right after high school. I think I found out about RPG Maker, and it was just very user friendly, and I loved Final Fantasy, and I wanted to tell an epic story. And I think for most people that get into game design, like one of the first projects that everyone wants to do is like a big epic RPG.
Yeah.
And then we very quickly realized that we're all stupid for having thought of that.
Yeah.
And it's not impossible, but it's very difficult for one person to do it alone. But yeah, that was kind of my start, where RPG Maker, I could lines, and I could have people blocking your path, until you can bring me this item, you can't get through, and then you go get the item, and then you come back, and then they let you through, and they have like a secondary dialogue that they say because you've done the thing, and it was just very like interesting to me, like just being able to make things happen and to lock things off and to have a goal for people. RPG Maker was a lot of fun, but I didn't do anything with it really for many years. I was very scared of like proper programming until late 2015, when I was like, okay, I need to do something, and I found Game Maker, and I found that the community for it was very strong too. So it made it easy for me to like hop in and learn.
Yeah, it's funny. Like years back now, it's like I want to say 2012 maybe. I actually tried to get a internship at a game studio, and my resume was a little short game in Game Maker where I was fighting against the evil forces of not having a job for the summer. And yeah, so like when you beat the game, it was like I won, so I was rewarded an internship. Which initially I did, but the only days that I was able to do it were already filled, so they didn't have a spot for me. So I unfortunately lost it due to time problems, but I was at least accepted.
That's really cool that you made it that far.
Yeah. Oh, the game itself was terrible. Like, because I didn't do any like testing of powers and stuff like that. Yeah. So everything was just so off, and
it was probably good for them to see that you like showed the initiative.
Yeah. Do something other than turn in a piece of paper.
Right. Like, here's what I can do. Please believe me.
But oh yeah, that was interesting, and
yeah, who knows like where stuff like that can take you just by making a crappy little program and asking someone if you can be a part of their company. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think, man, like, this was also years back, but it's like somebody's dream job was to work at Insomniac because they loved Ratchet and Clank. And so their entire resume, because they were a musician, and their entire resume was a music video of him, like, singing his, like, accomplishments and all that stuff. And that's how he submitted it. I was just like, see, that guy's thinking in the future, like.
Wait, did he actually get in at Insomniac?
I'm not sure, because I remember seeing the video, but I don't remember ever checking in to see if he got. I imagine he did, because it was really well done.
Yeah. If it made waves on the internet like that, I mean, they had to have seen it.
Yeah, because I think I found it through like IGN or Destructoid or something.
Okay. Dude, that is really cool. I need to do something like that. Like, hey, Nintendo.
Yeah. Let me put Skelattack on Switch. Send me a dev kit.
Which it It definitely is coming to Switch.
That's awesome.
But thanks, man. I'm really. I think that's like probably my proudest thing about the project. But yeah, if I could make my future exactly the way I want it, like a Nintendo IP, like Mario, and then everyone praises me forever and ever. Amen.
Well, you certainly got some fans already just from all the shows you've done.
Yeah, it's been really great, like taking Skelattack out into the world and meeting people like you, and just having these, like long-term friends because of some silly little project that I was working on, alone in my apartment. It's making me like feel confident and just like absolutely sure that this is the field that I want to be in.
Oh yeah.
For the long term.
Wow. I know, because I'm also I started following them because after we met last year, but the 16-bit couple, like with all their little art things, like they've been like
doing so much art.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you just did some new logos for them, all right?
Yeah.
But like I know they've been really pushing out, like every time you make an update, they have something to say, like.
They've been there. They've been there for like all 3 years of Skelattack's development. They were one of the earliest people that found me on Twitter, and one of the first to even do a Let's Play on the very first Skelattack demo.
Oh, nice.
And they just had like really kind things to say about it. And they played the game with their kids, and the kids, are into Skelattack now. And his wife made a bunch of these.
Yeah, mine's
one.
mine's sitting back here in the corner. It's behind the companion cube.
I remember for a really long time that was like that was your Twitter picture. It was like
like on my head, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I dyed my hair rainbow, so I had to change it.
Yeah. You gotta show off your hair, man.
It's a lot more faded now, but a lot of people seem to like it even more.
Yeah, it's becoming kind of pastel shades, which is perfect because Easter's coming up.
But no,
it's a big couple. They've been really helpful to me. Just good friends, as well as like I can't just call them fans, but they're actually good friends of mine now. Which is the game has brought a lot of good stuff into my life. It's not just about like money, which the money still hasn't come in, but I hope that'll be nice too.
Yeah.
Along the way, it's like other things of worth have come through. So it's been a lot of fun.
You met me, of course, and I'm amazing.
If you want to like rank everything, you're certainly on the very top.
I'm the first person to ask you for your autograph.
That was such a weird day. I'm still thinking about it, and I still. It's weird, like how you look back at old memories, and you're like, I wish I could have said something different or done something differently to make it better. I wish that like. I remember all we had was like a Sharpie or something that it barely worked.
Because of the material.
Yeah, because I was signing this because I think that was like. That was just what you wanted, and I like signed right on the bottom. Writing on yarn is like next to impossible.
Yeah.
So I couldn't write my signature nice and fancy the way that I've been working for years making a signature. I had to write my name in like all caps, and I was like, anybody could have wrote this. Like someone could just, like you could have gone on the road and been like, look, the developer signed it. But dude, that was really that kind of made my day. Like the guys came up to me afterwards and they were like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I was like, "Dude, that guy just asked me for my autograph. Like, what? What's going on right now?" It was just a really good day. So many unexpected things like that happened. It made my entire PAX trip so much better.
Now, so I was replaying the demo last night.
Yeah.
And I did notice that you have added the VHS tracking filter-ish to it.
The real filter.
Yeah, that because I remember then it was only in the promotional video.
Yeah,
it's
so funny. It's so funny that you got to kind of see the evolution of it, so to speak, because like I don't know if you were like aware of what people were saying, but yeah, so many people were just like, yeah, is that filter going to be in the game? And it was just like everyone turns and looks at me because I was like the only person working on the game, and I was like, I don't know, dude, like, sounds like people want it, but I really had no plans to add it, but I guess now we're going to. I struggled with that thing for weeks, man. Like after PAX, like I just like sat down and focused on this filter, and God, dude, I just wanted to like rip my hair out most days. It was just not working. And then finally we got it. But so I hope you guys appreciate it. It aged me like 5 years in a couple of months.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was like seeing the difference because it was still like the same levels, but from last year. But like you had added all the differences. I think you like there's now the slime blocks to show that you can't like wall jump against them.
Right.
And then
like we show people a lot better now. Like hey, you can't get traction on this. You can't jump off of this. Where before it was like. I think I was the only one who knew, and everyone else just like had to guess. And I was like, why did I do that? Yeah, we also updated all of the backgrounds, or a lot of backgrounds. I can't remember what the state of the backgrounds were like at PAX South, but we updated a lot of backgrounds. We vastly upgraded the sewer boss at the end of the demo. Now he's like a lot tougher to beat.
It's already a pretty tough thing.
That's exactly right. Like I remember you guys were like waiting around for your turn to play, and like you and some of the others, like Scott, I remember, were talking about like strategies and stuff, and like I think I'm gonna use the cure scroll, like spam that, and then you know the sewer boss is a breeze.
Yep. Definitely helps a lot. Like everybody wants the offensive fireball spell and stuff. It's like, no, cure, baby, cure.
Cure is the only way to go. Personally, I'm an air scroll guy, but cure. Fire was actually my first favorite, and then I fell in love with air scroll. And I don't just cure anymore because I'm just so darn good at the game. I don't ever take any damage. Don't really need that.
Speaking of PAX South, I know your trip back home from there was pretty interesting.
I don't want to talk about it. Oh man. I had the. When I say the worst time, I literally had the worst time. I went to PAX on the thinnest of budgets, and that included, a Greyhound bus, like 1,300 miles from North Carolina to Texas and back again. And on the way back, it was like winter was starting to set in, and I ended up getting stranded in Knoxville, Tennessee overnight. Like it was just, and then once I was finally back in my home state, it was like we were driving one night, and the headlights on the bus just completely went out. And the driver was like, I can't legally take you guys any further. And so we like parked in a... we pulled into a McDonald's, which by this point, most of North Carolina is like just snowy and gross. And as we were parked in that parking lot and trying to make accommodations for the night at the local hotel, we get back on the bus and we're getting ready to pull out. The bus gets stuck in the snow, and we all, well not all of us, but none of us, get out, like we have to push this massive bus and just kind of like rocket out of the snow, and it actually worked. And our dark, like headlightless bus, we finally pull out and we go and we get to the hotel. Another night, it was another night out on the road that I was supposed to be home like 2 days ago, and man, it was gross. It was just the worst, and I hope I never have to ride on a bus again. Like for that distance, you know. I gotta fly, you know, from here on out. And when we did PAX East later last year, I flew there and back. So it was a lot better.
I imagine.
Thanks for bringing up that terrible memory.
You were in the news though for like you were in the background.
Yeah, like so. The next morning, we're all in the hotel lobby getting breakfast, and somehow like a local news station had picked up that we're stranded, and they had to push a bus out of the snow so they come up and they're like interviewing us, and I was so mad. I was so finished. Like I was just mentally and physically drained from PAX, and all I wanted to do was go home. But like, yeah, the news people show up, and I could get up there and, you know, like say something to the camera, but I don't know. I talked myself out of it. I was like, I feel gross.
Yeah.
My mind just isn't right. Like, I just really don't want to talk to anybody right now. But I was like in the background of a couple of shots. I was looking like I look very tired. I look very tired and just kind of finished with everything.
Yeah. Oh. That's how I've been since daylight savings time the other night.
I was staying up till like 3 a.m. because it just feels right, and I'm sleeping late, and it's really hard for me to kind of like get back into a proper schedule for things. You know, I feel sleepy a lot, and I feel like I want to take a nap at weird times, but I can't because I gotta work.
Got to make that game to make that money.
Gotta do it.
So speaking about, how did you get into contact with like Ukuza? Did you stumble upon each other, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story there. It was very much a stumbling upon. I guess in like a few weeks prior to meeting Ukuza, I was sending out my pitch deck, which was like just kind of showing off Skelattack and telling everything that it was about and kind of where I wanted to take the game. And I was sending that out to a bunch of published teachers along with the link to download the demo. Like, hey, this is what I'm working on. I'm looking for publisher support. And I sent out a bunch of emails and got a bunch of rejections or non-responses, which is to be expected. And then randomly, Ukuza, their Twitter account started following me, and I had never heard of them. And I go check out their website, and I'm like, oh, sweet, that's a publisher. And then they're like looking to publish their first game. This is cool. I was like, well, they're following me, so that counts for something. I obviously like what I'm doing. So I messaged them on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I don't know if you saw, but I am actually looking for a publisher right now, so I might be looking to pitch to you guys shortly. And he wrote back and was like, actually, we've been looking to talk to you about working together to publish Skelattack. Like, we really like what you got, and we also want to pitch our services to you as a publishing house. And I was like, whoa, like that's really cool. So it was like this mutual, kind of respect for what they were doing and the types of games that they wanted to publish. It seemed perfect for Skelattack, and they really liked what I had. So we just kind of had our little online meeting, and everything went really great. Shane and Doug, that's all Ukuza was at that time, just these two guys. They wonderful ideas for Skelattack and like ways that I could improve the game and make it the best that it could be. And I was like, dude, these guys aren't just out to make a quick buck off of my game and want to make it, I mean, obviously, the end game is to get paid, when you publish a game, but like up front, they were just like, whoa, what if we did this? Like, seeing Scully and Ember, it reminds me of this, and like, what if we like added these things? And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So now, like, we all work, like, we talk to we're like a tight knit little family. You know, just like bouncing these cool ideas off each other, and you know, writing stories and dialogue and whatnot. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. It's always good to that they showed interest first. Like, takes a lot of the pressure off.
Really never expected it. Like I was expecting to just keep sending emails for the rest of my life until the game was like complete, and then just like put it on Steam by myself. Was like.
And it's always the worst when like you don't get no response. Like, it's like just people listening. Just give a response to somebody. Like, if just tell them no.
Like even if you say no, that's better than like me wondering forever.
Yeah.
If they even read the message. And it was cool because there were a number of studios that were like, you know, our roster for games that we're publishing is kind of full right now, but I mean, we do really like what you got going. We just, you know, we can't make anything happen with it at this time. Good luck. And I was like, that's really all I can ask for.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time. So, most people were really cool about it.
Anything is better than no response at all.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, one time when I was a kid, I wrote to DC Comics. I was like 9 years old, and I loved art back then too. But obviously, I was terrible at it, and I wanted to design comic book characters. And so I created this really stupid idea for a villain who like eats nuclear waste or something. He instead of dying, he like becomes like super powerful. And I wrote to DC Comics, and I sent in that picture, and I was like, hey, this is my guy, this is his name, this is like his powers, and this is how he got his powers. I'd love to like, you know, work for you guys, or if you want to use my character in a comic, feel free. Anyway, good luck, and I look forward to seeing my character soon. I was just like so like smug about it. And they actually wrote me back on this beautiful stationery that had like up at the top, and in each margin on the left and right, it had like a bunch of little DC characters like standing with their arms outstretched, and standing on everyone's hands was like another DC character. And they wrote back, and they were just like, you know, unfortunately we have a full roster of characters and storylines, and we're not looking to take anything else on, but you know, best of luck, and like don't give up. I wish I still had that paper, but I thought it was the coolest thing. It was like a victory for me that they even took the time to reply.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, when I was littler, I did the whole thing of writing Nintendo Power about a new Zelda game I wanted and how it should be. It's like yeah, I'm sure that I know like they get like 900 of these a day, and I got to be one of those. Like,
did they reply?
Yeah, I got a reply that like the typical BS of like it's awesome, but for legal reasons, blah yada yada yada, and all that. I'm like. Like,
wouldn't it be funny if, like, I don't know, like, in a couple of years, you see a Zelda game, and it's your idea, like, exactly, and they just felt like, yeah, that stupid kid, he actually had, like, a really good idea, and he's probably forgotten all about it, and now we can finally make it.
Damn, why don't I keep my letters? I have proof.
So I've got to keep an eye out on DC Comics, too, to make sure they don't use my guy who eats nuclear waste and becomes a superpowered villain idea.
Who knows? Like, I don't know if you've been reading DC Comics lately, but like, there's so much crazy stuff going on in it. Like,
really, I really haven't kept up with it.
Like, they've like greatly expanded their universe and doing all this new stuff, and it's pretty freaking awesome.
Oh, so you like what they're doing with the expansions and
yeah.
new storylines? Cool.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of sucks for me. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about what they're doing because I haven't kept up, but because I haven't kept up with it, like hard for me to just kind of figure out where I would need to even begin.
Oh yeah.
To learn like what's going on now. But you know, DC Comics and Marvel too, and a lot of other companies, you get to a point where it's like we can't just recycle the same old characters and storylines. Like we need to expand. So it makes sense for them for sure. To do so.
Like I mean, like they're using like old concept, like because they brought back the Legion of Doom, but like what they stand for is different. Like they don't take the name Doom to sound all evil and like gaudy. Like it like Doom is an essence that they're basically harnessing. They're trying to harness. And it involves bringing back basically the mother of all creation in the DC universe called Perpetua. And like she is just super evil. Like she was locked behind the Source Wall because of how evil she was. And like after DC's Metal event where all the evil Batman from other universes came in, like at the end of that the Source Wall was destroyed, so like all these new ancient, well not new but like ancient things that have never been in the universe before are now showing up. So you've got like a whole new spectrum of light for like Green Lanterns and stuff. Like you've got the ultraviolet lanterns, which and you've got all this new stuff coming in, and it's so to me, I'm loving every minute of it. Like the new Justice League run has been phenomenal. Like
great, dude.
But
like, I'm so out of the loop with it, but it's really cool to hear such praise for what they're doing here. Like so I guess with the new the League of Doom, like do they see themselves as good people, or do they very well know that what they're doing is going to destroy lots of people?
They pretty much know what they're doing is destroying a lot of people. And what's cool is that like each member of it is there specifically to harness one of the dark energies that will help bring about everything. So it's like you've got Gorilla Grodd, who is harnessing. It's Gorilla Grodd, and then like a little baby turtle, like the villain. Not an animal, but there's a villain called the Turtle who is like he's a Flash villain that like slows everything down instead of it speeding up and everything. And like together with them, like they're harnessing what's called the Still Force, which is basically the opposite of the Speed Force. So. And then you've got, like, the Ultraviolet Lantern is one of them. And, yeah, it's just, it's cool. Like, I'm loving it.
I was really enjoying imagining one of the evil members as an actual baby turtle. I think I'm going to have to write to DC now. I've got some ideas coming up.
Just make one of the heroic explorers in your dungeon for Skelattack a turtle man.
Dude. that might have to happen. So, like, I loved Ninja Turtles growing up.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid.
So let's see. So you talked about how you started getting into game design after you got out of high school, but was there ever a point in your childhood where you're like, I want to make games, or was this like purely out of high school?
It was just slowly building through my childhood for sure. I took note a lot of really good aspects of game design. Like I always appreciated the Pokemon series and how all these stats and weaknesses and strengths that work against each other through programming, and how they planned all of that out into this tiny little cartridge. It always blew my mind, and I would would notice things like when you're playing, and you come up on an area where like a cutscene needs to happen. I would be like, I guess there's like an invisible block there that you step into and tells the game stop and to make a character like run at you or say something or move the camera. I just imagine all these like invisible like light switches, so to speak. When you touch them, it would set off these different things. And for the most part, I was right. It was like a very simplified idea, but yeah, I loved how developers later on, once we had like PlayStation and Nintendo 64 especially, and they could do bigger games, how developers would attention to detail and just put cool little like props and things in rooms that had no real significance, and you couldn't really interact with them, but they were just there and they helped feel more alive. I love stuff like that. And I always like to notice of it even before I was like in high school.
So, then I guess, what was your favorite game growing up like? Or at least game series?
I guess series-wise, man, I think I gotta go with Legend of Zelda. I played, man, like me and my brother, we would play Ocarina of Time on Nintendo 64, and we would beat it, and then we would immediately start a file, and we would beat it again. And we just, everything that game had to offer. And it wasn't our first Zelda game, but it was the one that had like the massive impact on me as far as like an artist, a storyteller in some ways. Even when it came to thinking about soundtracks, so many Nintendo does soundtracks so well, and I think we all have something great to learn from that. With Skelattack even, I was just like, I don't know what the soundtrack needs to be, but it needs to be as memorable as possible. I want it, like when I listen to it, a song from like Hyrule Field, when you first emerge from the forest in Ocarina of Time. Like that's a song that you never forget. Every time you hear it, you can see it in your mind exactly where you were.
Yeah.
I wanted like songs in Skelattack to be like that too. Like, you listen to them and you remember like this is the dungeon, or like this was like that crazy boss fight that I had. What was yours? Did you have like a favorite game or series?
Yeah. I mean, Zelda is definitely up there as one of my favorite series of all times. Zelda 2 is the first game I ever remember actually playing. Yeah. And then like my brother, when I guess I was turning 6, he had gotten me a Game Boy with Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
That's a great game.
Yes, and I can't wait for the remake. Oh my god.
I'm so excited for the remake, and I don't have a Switch yet.
For the most part, I actually hated that Direct. There was nothing of interest to me. Like, Astral Chain looked good, and I'm excited for that. But, like, that Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake is what saved it for me. I just about, like, cried. I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, you see that intro animation, and, the camera kind of, like, cuts back a bit, and it's, like, Link on the open seas, and it's like, oh, like I know where this is going. Yeah, I didn't watch the full Direct. I think I was asleep or something. But yeah, that like remake was, I think, the only thing out of that Direct that I can even really remember right now. Like that was the story of the day. Once that just dropped.
Well, Astral Chain, for if you don't remember, is the one from Platinum Games. It's like the Robot Cop or something like that. And
oh, okay. I remember seeing a bit about it, but I didn't look into it much more.
It looks. I mean, it's Platinum Games, so
yeah.
They always look fantastic.
Right. So yeah, that should be another fun one to check out.
But Like,
I'm gonna lose. What?
or no, go ahead.
Like I said, I'm gonna lose so much money when I finally get a Switch. Because there's like so many great games that I've just been like, hiding myself from spoilers, and just been like waiting and waiting.
So
I'm gonna have to spend like a few $100s to get these games.
So let me put it this way: I bought a Wii U day one, and I mean I still have it. And then I bought a Switch day one, and within like 3 months, maybe even less, I already had more games for my Switch than my Wii U.
Dude, that says a lot. I am so proud with how Nintendo's been handling the early stage of like the Switch library. There was just so much great stuff coming to it where I was like, oh my god, like Doom 2016, like Dark Souls, like this and this and all these great indie games. Like, I've got to get on this. And I didn't feel that way about the Wii or the Wii U. I still love my 3DS. But, yeah, this
just popped up out of the head popped up like Duck Hunt, like whoop.
Yeah, he loves perching on the back of the couch, so he likes to feel like he's high up, like he's on my level.
Yeah, I don't know. My dog usually likes to be on the furniture too, but for some reason he's not right now.
He doesn't want to be on the camera today.
That's not. But like, I don't know. Outside of Zelda, like, because I mean we've talked before and how like I'm trying to get into game design myself. Like Mega Man X, I played that when I was like 7 years old. Like, because I didn't own a Super Nintendo. Like,
Same here.
So I went to like a friend's and we played Mega Man X, and I was just like, after just the intro level, I was just like, I want to make video games. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to make video games.
Wow.
7 years old.
That is incredible. Yeah, Mega Man X was great. Like I didn't have a Super Nintendo either growing up, and then it wasn't my first Mega Man game, but when they put it out on PlayStation, and it had like the anime intros and stuff, and then they drop you into that city highway level, and like the streets dropping out from under you, and you gotta like wall jump your way out. Like it was really good game design. Like solid music, like beautiful. Man, that's a really good like game to be inspired by.
Yeah, like when I saw Ego Raptor, Aaron Hansen's sequelitis video on it, I was just like, first off, Aaron, please make more sequelitis.
Please.
Like, it is literally the best thing ever.
Dude, I was very sad to see him just kind of step away from it because
Yeah.
I like you, I grew up absolutely loving that game. Not realizing exactly why I loved it so much.
Yeah, exactly.
He breaks it down and like, he shows you how the developers are teaching you things without even putting any text on the screen at all. And it was just like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
And that was something that I tried to remember as I would work on Skelattack. Like, not everything has to be like, this button. Like, I've got to tell you guys some things, of course, but I don't have to like spoon feed you the entire way.
Yeah, like, I remember playing, I think it was Modern Warfare 2. Like, there's nothing wrong with the game, but I remember having to go through the tutorial, and I'm just like, I could figure this out myself. I don't need you to tell me to press forward on the control stick to walk.
Right, like what? I didn't just like wake up from a 40-year coma. Like, I'm pretty sure if I press something forward, it might make my character.
Like, anytime I play a game, like at PAX or anything, the very first thing I do is figure out what all the buttons do. Like, before I move, I just move back and forth, press the buttons. Once I figure it out, then I'll start going. And then, of course, I'll start running into press A to jump. I'm like, I already knew it.
It sucks because Pokemon is getting into this territory a lot in recent years, and I kind of feel, I don't know, man. It's like the original Pokemon games. I feel like they kind of left you hanging in a good way sometimes. Where it was like, they would kind of hint at things we could do, but I remember I was lost for hours trying to figure out how to like wake up that Snorlax that was sleeping in my path. And I had to like end up going into Celadon and doing all this stuff, and then getting. I can't remember exactly where I needed to go, but I had to get like the flute to wake him up. And I just spent a really long time just like not knowing. Like nowadays, a lot of games don't really respect the fact that I am a smart, thinking individual, and that I can figure stuff out. Like some games handle it well, and sometimes other games are like press forward to walk, press this to do this. Like, hey man, you good job on that objective. Now go to this town and talk to this person, and we'll get you going on the next mission. Like, dude, you don't have to treat me like a baby, please.
Like, I get that they have to have something there for new players, but it's like when we grew up with the Super Nintendo or the original Nintendo, it's like they didn't have it then, and we were able to figure it out. So why can't you treat the newer generation the same way?
Yeah, and so now when I pick up a new Pokemon game, like, Pokemon X was the last one that I beat on 3DS, and I felt like so much of it was just kind of like, I don't want to say dumbed down, but I just felt like the lack of strategy and critical thinking was lost for me personally. And I just kind of brute forced my way through that entire game, not paying any attention to like levels or stats or where I needed to go next, because the game told me exactly where I needed to go every time. I mean, I have high hopes actually for Sword and Shield. Like, I was really excited when Nintendo did that reveal. And I haven't been excited for Pokemon in a couple of years.
So
I hope they can kind of like turn it around.
Yeah. Speaking of Sword and Shield, which starter are you going with?
Team Rookie. Rookie gang.
It's all about Sobble.
I thought it was so cool how the internet instantly kind of like divided itself and just fell in love with these characters. As much, but the other two definitely. Sobble is super cute, and Sobble is in need of some love and companionship. And if it wasn't for Rookies, it would be Sobble like all day.
It's like, give me my anxiety, depression-ridden lizard.
Exactly. Like, that's all you need. Like, I think Sobble's gonna make me feel
my spirit animal.
that makes sense, man. Yeah. Groovy looks like I don't know, something about Groovy. He looks chill. He doesn't really look sad, which is good for me. But he also doesn't look cocky like Score Bunny.
Oh yeah.
So I'm all about like, I don't want someone who's going to be like cooler than me. And like wearing like black shades and stuff, like Squirtle was in the anime.
Squirtle gang.
I think I just need like a humble and relaxed starter, please.
I could see it.
So yeah, Sobble is a great choice, and I think we're going to be alright.
Alright. Hopefully Score Bunny is not firefighting, I swear.
Man, if they do that again, I don't. That's kind of why I'm stepping back immediately. I don't. Fighting, I'm just not really into it personally.
But
I've been historically, I've been fire starters the entire way through the series. But this time I was like, I think I'll go grass. I think it's going to be better for me personally.
alright, so we've got before we get into all the audience questions, we've got two very important questions.
Alright, I'm ready.
So when you're growing up as a child, Sega or Nintendo?
Man, I had both. I will say, overall, we were very much a Nintendo family. So I had the NES, Super Nintendo for whatever reason. I don't know why, but in place of the Super Nintendo, we got a Sega Genesis, which it had some great games for it. But right after that, we didn't touch Sega ever again. And we went back to Nintendo, like Game Boy.
That's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I had my eye on the game on the Dreamcast too. Like it looked really cool, but it just I love Sonic 2. This was long before they ruined the franchise or took it down a very strange path. And I wanted to see Sega do better, and then I don't know, man. Nintendo just kind of, we also ended up getting our first PlayStation. So it was all about Sony and Nintendo from that point on.
Yeah. That's sort of similar because I got an NES as a hand-me-down, basically. Like, it was my brother's, and they gave it to me when I was little. And then I got a Genesis, and then a Game Boy, then a 64, and so on. Now I've got all three current gens now. Just cool. It took so much money. I just said I can't do anything. I just have to save.
Am I going to eat or am I going to buy these consoles?
Yeah.
Sega had a very big place in my heart for its time. And they couldn't hang with the consoles as time went on. So.
No, that division. I was gonna say that division between Sega of America and Japan just killed their company.
It just. And there's so many great YouTube videos like detailing the demise of Sega and how everything. It was like a perfect storm of really bad decisions. And stuff just didn't work out for them. And now, after so many years of it being like Sega does what Nintendo don't, and having so much back and forth between the companies, it's so funny. But it also feels so good to see Sonic in a bunch of Nintendo games.
Oh yeah.
And to see Sonic getting his own games on a Nintendo platform. I thought that was really cool that they were able to just kind of I don't know, patch things up is the right way to put it, but that there was a lot more cross-play between the two companies, and they could just kind of let the past be the past.
All right, so very important question number 2. If you were transformed into a taco, what kind would you be?
I would be a chalupa from Taco Bell. Number 6 beef. I think that's. I don't know why I had that answer prepared because this is my first time ever thinking about that.
Well, I'm down in here. I'm down here in Texas, so a lot of Mexican food, a lot of Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Tacos rule your life down here.
I wish I could be there so that I could have tacos rule in my life as well. And I know that there will be people who don't consider Taco Bell to be proper tacos. And I can see that. But dude, I love chalupas, and I've got to go with that.
Now,
what about you?
Well, do you want to be the one that you love or the one that you least like? Because if you love it, aren't you afraid you're going to eat yourself?
It would be. I don't think I would live very long after making a transformation. I would give myself like 2 minutes tops.
See, I like
how long it takes me to eat one.
I like chorizo and egg tacos and stuff like that. It's but I don't know if I want to be one because I would eat myself. So, I'm not a fan of potatoes in my tacos. So it's maybe I'll be like bacon and potato.
So you just don't want to, you would extend your life.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
I don't know. I was just while I was trying to think of how I'm going to do this show, I want to have an off the wall question that no other game podcast is going to have.
I can confidently say that I've never heard anyone ask that before.
Well, yes,
I think that needs to stay in your format for sure.
Yeah. Question I ask everybody.
Just something completely random every week.
All right, so we are almost an hour into this, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll start with the audience questions, which all came from your followers and friends.
Good people all around.
So first one is going to be from the 16-bit couple. I unfortunately don't know their names.
Yeah, Duo and Ryoko.
All right.
And I don't know their real names, but those are their internet names.
So their question was, how has doing interviews for the game changed since your first interview about the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the biggest way that it's changed between then and now is that, back then, I knew a lot about Skelattack's world, and that everything made sense, and then it was all heavily planned out. But back then, a lot of what I was doing, it was just kind of like learning as I went along and making things make sense after the fact, after I had already added them. And now that the team has expanded and we all know exactly where the game is going and why things are the way they are, now I can speak with a lot more authority about like why any of this is happening and certain histories of the dungeon and why things are going this way. And I don't have to pull an answer out of thin air. I actually understand my own game a lot better nowadays than I did back then.
Well, that's good.
That's been a big one.
Just add it to the game document. But
it's good to be knowledgeable about some things.
Speaking so when did your team start growing? Like you start getting more people attached to the game?
Well, it really started to happen right as PAX South was ending last year. All through PAX, Ukuza was officially just my publisher. But after PAX, we had some other opportunities arise, and we were like, we might be able to actually make this game a lot better if we make ourselves into a studio, really, and not just a publisher for this game. So that was the first time where I'm like sucked into Ukuza, and they absorbed my nutrients. And Shane and Doug from Ukuza actually became like real Skelattack team members, and not just my contacts over at my publisher. And from there, at the next PAX, we ended up meeting a guy named Jason, and a fellow game maker programmer. He said he was interested in helping work on the game if we ever needed it. And it turns out we did need another programmer, so
that's good.
He joined the team. But yeah, it really started right after our first PAX. Things just started moving pretty quickly, and just the other week we added another team member named Joel. And I met him at PAX South. We actually shared floor space together. His team was working on another game that is Crystals and Curses.
Oh yeah.
And we I don't know, we just all met, and we instantly became just good friends. And now he's actually working with us on Skelattack, so I'm really happy to have him on the team. I'm happy to have everybody on the team.
Yeah, that's one of my, because I've been going to PAX South since the first year, and I think that's one of the things I enjoy watching the most is other devs meeting other devs on the floor and just really hitting it off and everything. It's like y'all didn't know each other before, and y'all are just happen to be in the same little floor space.
Yeah. It's incredibly cool for me because our games most of the time the people next to me when I'm showing Skelattack, like our games aren't even the same at all.
Yeah.
Like entirely different genres. But
Well, I mean, the Curses and Crystals is completely different.
Absolutely, like that's a straight up puzzle game, you know, and that doesn't even matter. Like, and our backgrounds, you know, it doesn't matter. Like we're all there for the same reason, and it's just so cool to meet people like that and to just have this like instant friendship, because you know you come from the same place, even though we're reaching out to two entirely different demographics, you know.
All right. Okay, so the next group of questions is going to be from Brent, who is one of your friends at GameSpeak. Is that right?
Yeah. So my guys, Brent and Jamel, they co-host GameSpeak podcast, which Jamel like lives in Texas. I'm pretty sure. Like they were kind of, because they like ended up finding me around the time of PAX South, and they were like, "You live in Texas, right?" And I was like, "No, I was just visiting." But that was kind of like around the time I got hooked up with them. But yeah, I've been on their podcast a couple of times, and it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, Brent's got some questions I hear.
All right, so have you ever considered putting cheats on the Skelattack?
Yeah, I think about it sometimes. Like, being this age and also being a gamer, you know, like we remember like really crazy and fun cheat codes in like NBA Jam and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, the older like GTA games, and they really added a lot for replay value.
They did. I don't know why more companies don't do it now. It's like,
yeah, it's not even like a really time-consuming thing. I mean, it depends on the nature of the cheat.
Yeah.
Really. Like, some things might actually break your game, but you know, a lot of it is just it's silly. Like, make your gun shoot snowballs instead of bullets. Like, it's not really. It's a graphical thing, and so yeah, I definitely have considered it. I guess at the stage where we're working so hard on it, like building the actual game, no one's really like discussed if we want to do cheats or what they would even be. But I think it would be really cool to be able to implement something. You know, maybe not even like you enter as like a string of inputs, but like a cheat that is unlocked by doing something in the game, which also lends itself to like replay value as well as retention, you know, keeping players in your game, working towards stuff. I think stuff like that can be really fun to unlock, where like, you know, all of a sudden, like now when you break open a crate, I don't know, like chickens fly out of it or something silly, you know.
So next question is, old Ghostbusters or new Ghostbusters?
Man, I was trying to hit him up earlier because I wanted some clarification. I wasn't sure if he meant the all-female Ghostbusters or
the new remakes or new sequels, whatever it's going to be.
The new sequel. So I'm not sure. I guess either way, my answer would be the same. I got to go with the old ones. I just personally. So I haven't seen the all-female one that came out, and for no real reason, I just haven't seen it. But I'm not really into like the whole remake culture that's so popular right now. I just the stuff that ends up getting remade. A lot of it I saw the original, and sometimes you just really can't beat the original.
Yeah.
And in other ways, it makes me feel like nobody. Well, not nobody. It makes me feel like a lot of people don't really want to take a chance on writing a brand new story from scratch sometimes. You know, there are certain studios that are like, hey, what do you guys think about rebooting Spider-Man 6 times? You know, like, that's proven money. And the films that came after might have been like great. I don't know, it always kind of rubs me the wrong way.
No, I get it, yeah.
But for sure, like I agree. I'll agree to disagree. Like there are some remixes that like, ended up being absolutely. But yeah, I guess for Ghostbusters, I'll go with the old ones.
Okay.
I mean that theme song, dude. It's so freaking good.
It really is. Yeah. It gets stuck in your head. Like there's no lie about it.
Every year around Halloween and a couple of months before Halloween, I've got it playing all the time.
All right, so next one from Brent is, if you were going to make a battle royale game, how would you make yours different?
Dude, I hated this question. Like, I love the question, but it was the one that required the most thought this morning. So if I had to make a battle royale, I would make it different by me at all. It would be a 2D platformer-based, cartoony, like beautifully animated battle royale, and it would be set in like a 30-story building, and everyone is spread out on different floors, and there's traps you can set. Maybe you can turn off lights in the room and have like only your character can have like night vision goggles. Whoever's in there, is like blind essentially. I'd probably like also have it where you could like rappel outside the building and like go down on a little rope and bust in through a window randomly and just like take out whoever's in there. I also would make it drastically different by not having any microtransactions, because microtransactions are the worst thing I've ever seen. I would have unlockables for sure, but it would be free DLC that would be achieved by playing the game. Who would have thought? Keep an eye out for my completely cool and awesome battle royale game.
So I'm like, I don't hate battle royale games, but I'm not like super into them. But that game sounds awesome, and I want to play it.
So, I appreciate you saying that. I was going through the list of these questions this morning, and I came across that, and I was like, God, I've got to have a real answer for this. And I was just thinking about it as I was going about my daily stuff, and I came up with that idea, and I was like, oh man, now I want to play that.
See, like, I actually have an idea for a battle royale myself, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't want anybody to take it if I do make it, because it is like, I don't think anybody's thought of doing it this way. I don't think anybody's planning on one. So if it's going to exist, I want to make it. I can tell you about it off screen, like where, but like I think it just sounds like it'd be a pretty awesome thing if I could get it to work right. It's going to be difficult and stuff, but
like I think designing a battle royale and just working on the game itself would be a lot of fun. But I don't know about networking. I don't know about hosting servers, and
that would be the biggest.
Like I just that stuff isn't for me. So I don't know. It's fun to think about, but I'm a fan of battle royale games either. I played Fortnite a couple of times, and the way that the game wants you to play, and the way everyone else has excelled at it just isn't for me. Like I never once think about building anything, and that's how you win. I've made it all the way to number 2 on Fortnite just by playing like hiding in cabins, and the edge of the storm is like right here at my face, and I have to move. And I hear gunfire off in the distance, but I'm like, they're gonna kill me instantly. Like I've made it all the way to the end, but I've never made it all the way because people are just really, really good at building.
See, I kind of want to play Apex Legends, but I don't want to have to get an EA Origin account just to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, the way it seems is always like the new one is the one that everybody loves and plays, and it's the best. But I don't know. It seems like everybody loves Apex Legends more than anything else, and maybe it's just because of the buzz right now, or it's just that good of a game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a combination of the two. I haven't heard or seen much about like what it actually offers gameplay-wise, so I think they're doing some pretty cool things. Like I remember hearing that they had I don't know, man, like something where it's just like it's like they're a useful part of their squad, which is very important.
Yeah.
To me. So it seems like they're doing some cool things that other studios haven't really. Yeah, more power to them, man. I hope it goes great. But I'm always like hesitant to hop on these games because I know in about like half a year we're all going to be on something else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to learn an entirely new game. And that's if I can't even play it. It might come out on PC, and I'm not really a PC gamer, so my friends consistently leave me behind.
So let's go on. So next question is, when is Kevin, me, making his guest appearance on Game Speak podcast? So when am I going to be on that show?
Very good question. When are you?
I don't know. These questions are for you, so.
No, I'll let you take this one. Yeah, I can't see into Kevin's future.
Well, I don't know. I just know it can't be March 19th because that's when I'll be doing my next episode. So that's all I can say.
You're good tomorrow.
Maybe, I don't know. I will have to get with them on it all.
I would love to hear that podcast. Like three of my favorite podcasters all in the same room talking to each other.
All right, so I don't know. I just like that it was a question for me, but these were supposed to be for you, so I wanted to leave it in there just to see what your answer would be.
Yeah, let me check Kevin's calendar. I'll get back to you later.
All right, so Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
All right. There's only one answer, and that answer is 4.
4. Why 4?
Yeah. All right, so I think... Okay, there's a couple of things that clue me into this answer. And, all right, first of all, he's a piper. Most likely he's carrying his flute, I'm assuming, if he's a piper. He's carrying it with him. Carrying case or a bag for it, and so he's like holding it in his hand. So that's one hand that's taken out of the equation because he's carrying his pipe. If they're pickled peppers, they've been soaking in a solution of like vinegar and sugars and whatnot to do the pickling effect. So when he picks up these pickled peppers, they're probably like kind of wet and slimy. So you can't really hold a lot in one hand. So I think 4 would be a good number of wet, slimy pickled peppers to hold in one hand, assuming your other hand is already holding your flute thing.
I don't think anybody's ever put that much thought into answering that question. So the science holds up, I think.
Like that's as far as I want to think about it, and I feel upset that I put that much thought into it. But that's where I stand so far.
Sounds good to me. All right, so last question from Brent. Thoughts on the Epic Store offering a better cut for developers?
Yeah, I think that's great. Last I read, it was 88%.
Oh, wow, I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, it was an 88-12 split into the favor of the developers. And that's almost 100%. You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I know in like recent weeks, the Epic Store has like I don't know. I don't know the whole story of what's going on. I guess there's just like a lot of exclusives at the Epic Store, and people are like, what's your problem or something. But speaking strictly about like being more in favor of the developers, I think it's nothing but good things. I don't know what is ultimately going to be like a really solid competitor to Steam, but we're getting closer. Like every month we're getting closer to something, and something's got to happen. You know.
Yeah.
So I think being like offering up more money to the developers is a great way to people coming to your platform.
Oh yeah. All right. So, moving on to Jamel's questions.
Yep.
What's the first game you guys remember playing? Well, I already said Zelda 2 was mine.
Yeah. Looking back on that, like, did you love Zelda 2, or because it's not my favorite?
No, it's not my favorite Zelda game. It's not my least favorite. That would be Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Gotcha.
I just can't stand those games.
I played, I think I played Spirit Tracks for a while. Yeah, it didn't really stick with me,
but I don't know what kept bringing me back to playing it when I was a little kid. Like, it was different, I guess.
Yeah. I played a number of... And Zelda 2 isn't bad by any means. They just tried some things new.
Yeah.
They totally didn't have to try, but some of them ended up not really being the best things they could have done. And that's Zelda in a nutshell, really. And Nintendo, they're always trying new stuff that doesn't... It might stick or it might not.
Yeah, who knew that Splatoon would be a hit?
Yeah. I think it's a little hard for me. I remember getting an old Atari at some yard sale when I was pretty young, and just having a random collection of like really vaguely titled games like baseball. But yeah, I think like the first one I can really remember playing was like an Atari, and it had a little paper insert that you would slip into the front of your remote, and it would show you like which key you needed to push to throw the ball to like second base or something.
Huh.
Yeah, and, but like very shortly after that, my dad got me the NES, and it had like Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and Tetris, but yeah, my memories go back to like Atari, and I'm really glad to be done with that.
Yeah, I have it's a story that my aunt likes to tell. It's like, because she always had Christmas parties where like cousins and everybody would come over, and like the ones that you only see like at special parties like that, basically.
Yeah.
And so I was like real little, like barely knew how to talk and everything, and everybody was in the other room playing Atari games. They had given me a controller, and the character on screen died, and apparently I said, "Oh shit." So like 8 children come running out of the room saying, "Baby Kevin said a bad word."
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so like the next couple months were spent like, how does Kevin know that word? Found out that it was my grandma. Because like she had just dropped something out of the refrigerator and said, "Oh shit." And like, well, now we know where he got it.
Thanks a lot, Grandma. Oh, that is so good, dude.
But
you've been a true gamer for your entire life.
Oh yeah, no, I knew I had a problem when I was little, and like my parents would be watching like a movie on TV, and I would just sit there with a controller, acting like I'm playing one of the actors. I had a vivid imagination.
You're like, dude, these graphics are insane.
So lifelike. Look as John McClane kills that dude.
Oh, wow.
But all right, so another question for me. What inspired you to make a podcast about video games? But, so, for me, honestly, it was several years back. I was looking for just video game interviews on YouTube. I stumbled across a guy named Jonathan Holmes. He was a writer at Destructoid, and he had started his own podcast through there called Sup Holmes. And honestly, the first episode I watched, I didn't care for that much because I think it was with Jonathan Blow, who was an amazing guy. But in that interview, he Jonathan just kept fanboying out a lot, and I was like,
didn't he make Fez or
no, Jonathan Blow? No, he did Braid and Witness.
Sorry, okay. I was getting my indies mixed up.
But yeah, no, Jonathan Holmes, the host, he kept fanboying out a lot, oh my god, you're amazing and all this, and it turned me off a little bit. But I kept watching more and more episodes, and I was like, you know what? He's doing this in a way that I haven't heard done before. He truly seems just like a fan of everything. He just wants to spread love and about everything he likes, and it's I like this. I want to make a show like this. And so then he ended up having to cancel his show because life reasons and everything. He had a kid and just couldn't put in the time anymore. So I just decided, you know what? It's been a couple years. I'm going to pick up where he left off. And so yeah, he honestly, his show was the biggest inspiration to me. I felt like there was nothing else out there like it, so I kind of wanted to pick up in its place.
Yeah, that's a really cool origin story. Yeah, I feel you though. It's always a little weird sometimes when you can fanboy for sure, but
oh yeah,
I think when it's time to do a show, your fans are also fanboys, and they don't always really want to hear another dude doing that.
So
let's get on with the questions, you know.
So looking back on it, it doesn't bother me now, but I guess it was because it was so different than what I was used to hearing in interviews and stuff that it was off-putting. But I guess as years went by, I was just you know what? This is probably the thing I like the most. Is I get the whole needing to be professional and everything. But it's
I think it's cool to have a mix of professionalism as well as sure, the show can completely go off the rails at any point, but you always know that you can bring it back.
Yeah,
I love that. I love having random questions and side stories that we just never planned for. It's a nice little adventure.
All right, so next question is: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Battletoads?
Dude, Ninja Turtles all day, every day.
Yeah.
I grew up with the Ninja Turtles, and I love the cartoon and the movies. Well, the first movie was my favorite. I didn't really get into the others as much, but at the time when Ninja Turtles was big for me, around 1990, living in New Jersey, and going to kindergarten up there. And so I was, we were always in a city somewhere, and I would see manholes all over the place. And I always was one day when I'm older and stronger, I'm going to lift that thing up, and I'm going to live down there with the turtles. And I was looking forward to it so much, man. I'm still not able to realize that dream, but it's coming. I just got to take care of some things. And I was looking forward to it so much, man. I'm still not able to realize that dream, but it's coming. I just got to take care of some things.
After you get that Skelattack money,
yeah, man. I will retreat underground, just like Scully.
But yeah, probably Ninja Turtles for me too. I like Battletoads. Just I don't know. Maybe if they'd been around more growing up, they kind of that series it ended, and I mean they got a new one in the makes, but it's still probably a year or two out.
Man, I didn't even hear about that. Yeah, I missed Battletoads growing up. I never played it when it originally came out.
See,
I didn't start really hearing about Battletoads until the meme.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, and then I actually watched people play it. I was like, dude, this game is really hard.
It is really hard.
The whole time it felt like kind of a Ninja Turtles ripoff to me.
It pretty much was.
So I'm not sure.
All right, so...
Did you ever beat it?
No, not even close. So I played it on the NES, the original, and then I played the sequel. I think it came out on the Genesis, actually. So I remember playing a 16-bit version, but I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so it had to have been the Genesis.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah.
But I remember getting several levels in, and oh man, that game is just it's so freaking hard.
Yeah, it looks absolutely punishing.
Like they say, the common term now in game design is Dark Souls hard, but it just needs to be Battletoads hard.
Yeah, you just say that and people know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so last question from Jamel. Which Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character would you want to hang out with in real life?
Yeah. I would love to hang out with Yoshi, actually. And I'm not even... I don't play as Yoshi ever, and I'm not a huge Yoshi fan, but I feel like I would love to have Yoshi over in my apartment and, just like food. Like, cook some eggs for him, watch some TV, and while he's here, he doesn't have to do anything. Like, I'm gonna just be like a really good host. And my reason for that is, like, Yoshi gets used as a tool in a lot of games. Like, the world, Yoshi pops up every now and then, and you can ride on him, and there's great benefits from it. But whenever you're done with Yoshi, just like throw him into the lava. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So I just want to show Yoshi like a really good time. Just make him feel welcome, make him feel appreciated.
That's nice. I didn't even think of it like anything like that.
Yeah, originally I was like, I just want to hang out with Mario, that's all. But then I was like, wait a minute, I think I have a better answer.
Well, good answer.
Thanks.
All right, so now we get into the harder questions from Juan, who I am guessing wants to make games himself.
Because he's got some really good questions.
How do you explain game design to people who don't know what it is? For example, explaining your job at parties or gatherings.
Yeah, that's always a tough one because when it's like someone who works in finance or at the hospital, they understand usually. So I really just try to dumb it down as much as possible. But that sounds like that's a bad way to put it. But I try to simplify my explanation of it as much as I can. I'll start with I always loved art and animation, and I felt I was really good at these two things, but I didn't know how to program, so I just kind of stumbled into it and started, working on things on my own and steadily getting better at it, like you would with anything else. I generally kind of leave it at that. By that point, they're ready to talk about their job, or I've asked them about their job. Because if I get too deep into it, people just kind of tune out because they just if you don't understand it, it's really hard to get what I'm telling you. But I pretty much tell them I get to draw and program all day every day, and just it's really demanding and more stressful than I ever imagined, but I really enjoy it. Maybe one day at a party you can say the same thing, Kevin. Once you get your awesome Battle Royale game launched.
I just try to I just kind of go give them because I actually went to Full Sail University and got a degree in game design.
That's so cool. I was looking into going there right after high school, before I became a loser and just worked at McDonald's.
points.
Yeah, it's just so like the way I just kind of describe it is like game design is basically seeing from start to finish the completion of an idea coming to life that fits into this world and rules and everything, and that like it's because like in the course I took for game design, we didn't, it wasn't like an art degree where you just do art. It wasn't like a programming degree where you just did a little bit of art, you did a little bit of programming. So it was like you learned a little bit of everything that makes a game, and then so that's like my definition of game design is like you're a jack of all trades but a master of none sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like through the course of a day, I'll touch on some programming, maybe write a bit of dialogue for a character, animate something, and design a new character or an environment on foot of that you very much have to be able to like all these different things that you have to deal with.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to define.
No, it's really not.
All right, so what do you consider the best 30 seconds of game design ever? Which
Man, this was a tough one, but something that always comes back into my memory, because other people have written articles and they've done videos about this too, and I agree. I think the very beginning of Super Mario Bros. On the NES might be some of the most important in gaming, but it's not flashy, but it did so much.
tells you everything you need to know.
It tells you everything you need to know, and it doesn't actually tell you on the screen. You just the way the beginning of the game is set up, it is just so clever, and it leads you to like trying to jump over this Goomba who's walking towards you, but when you do it, you accidentally jump and smash, hit a block, and you're like, wait, that block, it does something. This one's got a question mark on it, and it's golden. Maybe it'll give me something. And it just leads you into like accidentally doing things, but then it's like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so many people, including myself, learned how to be a gamer because of Super Mario Bros. And like, to this day, I don't know how I learned how to go down pipes in Super Mario. I can't remember if it was in the instruction manual or maybe my dad read it to me or what, but there was just a lot in that game that, now we take it for granted, but they kind of like set the stage for gaming in general with that one. I don't know. Do you have one personally that you've been thinking about?
No, I honestly the question was so open that I just couldn't like narrow something down.
Yeah, I mean, so many decades and games to sift through, and I've not played nearly enough games, and it's really hard to like settle on one. But yeah, Super Mario is probably going to be it for me.
Good. All right. Do you think of game design the same as other designs, such as industrial or graphic?
Yeah, in a way. Like, game design is very much a series of solving problems that you have created for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the other design fields have that same thing, where it's like, if I'm an engineer and I'm designing a bridge, or an architect designing a house, and you give it a weird, unconventional shape, you need to like include certain things. Like, you have created a problem for yourself that you now need to solve within the confines of the space that you've given. And that's pretty much game design for me. Just breaking things and adding things that create more problems, and then I solve those problems too. And hopefully everything works in the end and does not break that much. But it probably will.
Good. What's the biggest thing players don't understand about game mechanics?
For me, I think it's the fact that not every time, most of the time when you add a new mechanic, comes a whole new set of problems. The game-breaking exploits, bugs, I don't know, just all sorts of stuff. So, like in Skelattack, as simple as it is gameplay-wise, when features, you add it and then you wish that you were never born. Because you see, like, it's, when you think about it, to think about it is simpler than it is. Like, you know, you've got your game, which is in a box, and then you have this mechanic, and you put that in the box, and then you shake it up. Put a mechanic into a game, in many cases, it touches on a number of different areas of coding, and like collision checks, and hitboxes, and all sorts of stuff. And so it's very easy to put a mechanic into your game that actually entirely breaks the experience, or has your character clipping out of bounds and falling out of the world completely, which happened at PAX East quite a bit, and I was very upset. And it was because we had added a new mechanic, and Scully just ended up out of the world, and it sucked. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated than it seems.
Yeah, over the years that I've gone to PAX South, I think I've broken like 4 games just on complete accident.
Oh,
and
man.
then there's other stuff that I've done that was like for actually this game, The Adventures of Pip. They were there the first year of PAX South, and so I had gotten to this point, and I was trying to find the hidden villagers to get the best score I can on this level. And I was like, all right, so you go up this elevator of spikes and all this and everything. You get to the top. Well, I got to the top, and I was like, well, crap, I think I may have missed one of the villagers back down here. How do I get down there? And so I was just like, you know what? I got full health. I know I'm going to get hit, but I'm going to use the invincibility frames to get down there. And so even because the designers were there, and they're like, so I do it. I actually, like, I should have gotten hit a lot more, but I used his powers to kill enemies as I was going down, so I took less hits. And I got down, and I went through the door down at the bottom, and was able to go back as far as I needed. And the developers were just like, I did not think that was possible. I didn't think you were going to be able to do that. And so when the game finally came out, I noticed that they have a locking door down there now. So you can't backtrack and do that. I was just like, that had to have been because of what I did.
That is great. Were you upset that they removed the ability to go back through? Like, did it break the gamer's experience going back through like that?
I think it did cause a problem because I don't think the elevator reset, so it was still up top maybe, or something. I don't remember.
Gotcha.
But no, I wasn't upset. I just laughed it off. I was just like,
man, that's so funny, man. I mean, it's really cool that you found that, you know, on the show floor, and it wasn't like something that was discovered after they launched the full game. You know, it's really good to be able to just ahead of time.
But I don't know. Yeah, like I've killed people's games by complete accident. I'm just like, I didn't do anything.
Dude, it's like as a developer, like, it hurts to see it because it's kind of like having your pants pulled down in public, like completely exposed, and this is not looking good. But at the same time, I'm always like really thankful.
Yeah.
That people break stuff, because you know, better you guys do it than someone who just spent like $20 on the game.
Yeah, exactly.
and now it's broken.
All right, so do you feel that designing a game should be for yourself, as in your expression, or for the enjoyment of the audience?
That's a good question. I think it needs to start for yourself. always going to be in the position to make a game that, speaks to your soul. But when you can, I think it's better to start with a game that makes you happy individually, and then work to make it approachable and charming to everyone else. At least that's how it's worked best for me on Skelattack. I've worked on a lot of mobile games in the past where it was like my dream project. It wasn't my masterpiece. It was, this game is going to pay my bills, so we need to make this.
Yeah.
And need to add to the game because these things are popular right now. When you have to do those things, like if Skelattack was like a battle royale because that's the new hot thing, I don't think in like 5 or 10 years I would look back on it and be like, But the way the game is right now, like I made it from the heart to start with, and then I try to bring everybody else in on it, and I have a much longer shelf life, and I'm going to be a lot prouder of it, doing it this way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, what are the essential tools of your trade?
I'm a bit old school. So, the essential tools of my trade, I've got a Cintiq 12WX. It's a pressure sensitive graphics tablet with a built-in screen and everything. I use Photoshop to design my backgrounds for the game. Do any quick concept work, and I use Adobe Flash for all of my animations. A lot of people have moved on from Flash. I mean, I do know why. That like Adobe has upgraded things and stuff, but the way that I need to animate, it doesn't really require top of the line tools. So I'm fine using Flash. I'll probably be fine using Flash for much, much longer unless somebody makes me upgrade. And Game Maker Studio, where I do all of my programming. Game Maker has been amazing. The community is great, and I love using it. And I think that's about it for my tools. I also like to use Adobe Illustrator, which is great for other types of like logo design and text-based stuff, which I don't use as much on Skelattack, but it's a tool that I use quite often for other work. And that's about it. I've got a cheap iMac here that is way, way too old for me to still be using it, but it's what it is. It gets the job done.
And speaking of logos and stuff, this is the man who created my intro and logos and everything, so thank you again.
I had a lot of fun doing that too. You had some really good ideas, like drawing you as a different video game character, so I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I love the one of the propeller rat chasing me.
Yeah, it's like, get away from me. Jesus.
This was my favorite enemy in Shovel Knight. It's just like the rat's not even really an enemy. He's just strapped to a propeller and doesn't want to be there.
He's just like literally hanging around.
Alright, is there any non-game art that influences you?
Quite a bit, but I'm not going to go into a massive list. But the main ones would be the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. I really loved the look of all of Tim Burton's characters in that film, and the environments and the architecture, and how I really liked how it was told from a perspective that you wouldn't normally think about, and that's kind of what Skelattack. I just really like these, unconventional stories.
Yeah.
I guess cartoon-wise, I could go look at Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy. I just really like these wild, insane cartoons where never apply, or they only apply when you want them you.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the houses on Rocco looked interesting. Even his car looked cool. Like, nothing looked boring.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what I've taken an artist.
All right.
That's my list.
Sounds good to me. Anything that has Rocco's is also amazing.
Yeah, it's always going to be a winner, for sure.
That and Angry Beavers.
Oh, man, that was great. Yeah, me and my brother, we kind of saw ourselves in Daggett and Norb, because I was always like the more chill, cool, and collected one, and he was like the more hyper, like tearing stuff up kind of guy. It was a great show to grow up with, you know, having a little brother around.
All right, so that does it for all the audience questions.
Yeah, a great selection of questions from everybody.
So, is there anything else you would like to talk about, or?
Not particularly. We've covered a lot of stuff today.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you, man. I'm glad we could get together and do this.
Yeah, it's definitely a new experience, and
Yeah.
I'm glad I got someone.
Any thoughts about who you're gonna have for episode 2, or is that?
I actually do have it planned already. It will be Anne and Stefan from the Arcade Spirits visual novel team.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
But, wow, so that's gonna be really cool. I've not played any visual novels, but I really, really respect them.
No, yeah, and that's what I when I talked to him at PAX South, I was like, I like visual novels. They're just like they're not my thing, but this one, like it was. I just love the world built in this one. It's pretty cool. Like their game just released a couple weeks ago, so.
Good. Okay. Well, I will keep an eye out for episode 2. Maybe I'll have a new game to play.
All right, so I guess we'll start wrapping it up then. I'm Kevin, the host of this lovely new show called Hey Nerd, and you can find me on Twitter at 16BitKevin. And want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. I'm David Stanley, and you can find me on Twitter at Dave_draws. Or if you want to learn only about Skelattack and not listen to the stuff I have to say, you can go to @Skelattack. And Skelattack.com has a free demo, which you can download today for Mac and PC.
Yep. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up. I'd like to thank you again, David, for coming on, and can't wait for the final release, whenever that may be.
Yeah, man. We'll let you know as soon as we have a real date nailed down. But, dude, thanks again for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.